When most people think of Greenland, they picture a vast frozen wasteland covered in ice and snow. And yeah, that's partially true. But here's the thing. Greenland is so much bigger, stranger, and more surprising than anyone realizes. This massive island holds secrets that sound completely made up. From mountains taller than anything in the continental United States to ice cores that contain air from before humans even existed, Greenland is a place where reality bends the rules of what seems possible. So buckle up, because we're about to reveal 50 insane facts about Greenland that sound fake, but aren't. And trust me, by the time we get to fact number 1, you'll understand why this island is one of the most extreme places on the entire planet. Fact 50. Greenland is the world's largest island. Let's start with the obvious one, but even this fact is more extreme than you think. Greenland covers over 836,000 square miles, making it the largest island on Earth that isn't a continent. To put that in perspective, it's bigger than Mexico. It's 3 times the size of Texas. And if you combine the 10 smallest U.S. states, Greenland would still be larger. Yet despite this massive size, fewer than 60,000 people live there. That's less than the population of a small American city spread across an area the size of a subcontinent. Fact 49. Most of Greenland is buried under ice. Here's where things get wild. About 80% of Greenland is covered by the Greenland ice sheet, the second largest body of ice in the world after Antarctica. This ice sheet is so massive that if it melted completely, global sea levels would rise by about 24 feet, enough to flood every coastal city on the planet. The ice averages over a mile thick, and in some places it reaches depths of nearly 2 miles. That means you could stack 2 Empire State Buildings on top of each other and still not break through to the bedrock below. Fact 48. The ice is older than human civilization. Scientists have drilled deep into the Greenland ice sheet and extracted ice cores that contain air bubbles from over 130,000 years ago. That's air from the last interglacial period, long before modern humans built cities, invented writing, or even discovered fire. When you're standing on the Greenland ice sheet, you're literally walking on frozen history, a climate record that goes back further than anything we can find anywhere else on Earth outside Antarctica. Fact 47. Greenland was actually green. The name Greenland sounds like a joke when you look at the ice-covered landscape today, but it wasn't always misleading. Around 1,000 years ago, during a period known as the Medieval Warm Period, the southern coast of Greenland was significantly warmer and greener than it is now. Viking explorer Eric the Red named it Greenland to attract settlers, and while it was partly marketing, the coastal regions actually did support agriculture and livestock. Norse settlers raised sheep and cattle there for centuries before the Little Ice Age made farming impossible. Fact 46. Greenland has sand dunes in the Arctic. This sounds impossible, but near the town of Kangerlussuaq, you'll find massive sand dunes rising up to 100 feet tall in the middle of the Arctic. These dunes were formed by glacial meltwater rivers that deposit fine sediment, which the wind then sculpts into towering golden hills. Standing in these dunes with the ice sheet visible in the distance creates one of the most surreal landscapes on Earth, a Sahara-like desert just miles from the edge of a frozen continent. Fact 45. The ice sheet is so heavy it pushes the land down. The sheer weight of the Greenland ice sheet is so immense that it has actually compressed the bedrock beneath it. In some places, the land has been pushed down below sea level by the weight of the ice. If the ice sheet were to melt completely, the land would slowly rebound upward over thousands of years, rising like a sponge that's been released after being squeezed. This process is called isostatic rebound, and it's already happening in areas where ice has thinned. Fact 44. Greenland has the world's largest national park. While the island doesn't have active volcanoes under the ice like Iceland does, it does have something equally massive. The Northeast Greenland National Park is the largest national park in the world. It is bigger than the entire countries of France and Spain combined, yet almost no one lives there except for park rangers and military patrols. It is a true untouched wilderness on a scale seen nowhere else on Earth. Fact 43. The northern lights are visible most of the year. Greenland sits directly beneath the auroral oval, the zone where the northern lights appear most frequently and most intensely. In the dark winter months from September through April, the sky can light up almost every single night with swirling curtains of green, purple, and red light. The displays are so vivid and so frequent that locals sometimes forget how extraordinary they are, treating them like we might treat a sunset. Fact 42. Greenland has one of the world's northernmost settlements. While Quanok is the main town in the north, the small settlement of Siorapaluk is located even further north, sitting at roughly 77 degrees north latitude, The people living here define the word resilient. During the winter, the sun doesn't rise for months. During summer, it doesn't set. The people living here experience some of the most extreme day-night cycles on the planet, enduring psychological and biological challenges that most of us can't even imagine. Fact 41. The capital city has no roads connecting it to anywhere. Nuuk, Greenland's capital and largest city, is completely isolated by land. There are no roads, highways, or railways connecting Nuuk to any other town in the entire country. The only ways to get there are by boat or by plane. This makes Greenland one of the most disconnected places in the developed world. Even towns that are only 50 miles apart have no land route between them. Everything must be transported by sea or air, making life incredibly expensive and logistically complex. Fact 40. Greenland has icebergs the size of cities. The icebergs that calve off Greenland's glaciers are among the largest in the northern hemisphere. Some are over a mile long and tower hundreds of feet above the water. The most famous is the Jakobshavn Glacier, which produces roughly 10% of all icebergs in Greenland. One iceberg from this glacier was tracked for years as it drifted across the Atlantic. Scientists believe an iceberg from this very glacier is what sank the Titanic in 1912. Fact 39. You can hear glaciers singing. If you stand near a glacier in Greenland during the summer melt season, you'll hear sounds that are almost musical. Crackling, groaning, rumbling, and sharp cracks echo across the ice as it shifts, melts, and moves. Scientists call this glacial noise ice quakes. The sound is caused by the ice fracturing under its own weight and the pressure of meltwater. It's eerie, haunting, and beautiful all at once, like the earth itself is singing. Fact 38. There are gemstones buried in the mountains. Greenland isn't just ice and rock. The island contains rich deposits of rubies, sapphires, and other precious gemstones, particularly in the southwest. The first ruby mine in Greenland opened in 2017, and the stones are considered some of the highest quality in the world. But mining in Greenland is incredibly difficult due to the extreme weather, short working season, and lack of infrastructure. Every gem extracted comes at enormous logistical cost. Fact 37. Polar bears outnumber people in some regions. In the northeastern and northwestern parts of Greenland, polar bears are more common than humans. The entire human population of Greenland is around 56,000, while scientists estimate there are about 2,500 polar bears roaming the ice. In some remote areas, it's possible to go weeks without seeing another person, but encountering a polar bear is almost guaranteed. Locals carry rifles not for hunting, but for protection. Fact 36. The ice moves faster than you can walk. Greenland's glaciers are not static. They're rivers of ice that flow slowly toward the ocean. Some of the fastest moving glaciers, like the Jakobshavn Glacier, move at speeds of up to 150 feet per day. That's faster than most people walk. This movement creates massive stress fractures in the ice, forming crevasses hundreds of feet deep that can swallow a person, a vehicle, or even an entire research camp without warning. Fact 35. There's a permanent darkness for months. During the polar night, which lasts from late October to late February in northern Greenland, the sun doesn't rise at all, not even for a few minutes. The sky remains in perpetual twilight or total darkness for over 100 days. This extreme lack of sunlight can trigger seasonal affective disorder, disrupt sleep cycles, and cause vitamin D deficiencies. Yet the people who live there have adapted, developing cultural traditions and community rituals to survive the psychological weight of endless night. Fact 34. Greenland is drifting away from Europe. Tectonic forces are slowly pushing Greenland westward. Greenland is physically part of the North American tectonic plate, meaning it is geologically American, even though it is politically connected to Europe. It drifts about 1 inch per year, slowly widening the Atlantic Ocean. Over millions of years, this slow collision will continue to reshape the geography of the North Atlantic. Greenland was once part of the North American tectonic plate, and in a sense, it's slowly returning home. Fact 33. There are hot springs in the Arctic. It sounds impossible, but Greenland has geothermal hot springs where you can bathe in warm water while surrounded by icebergs and glaciers. The most famous is Unitak Island, where natural hot springs maintain temperatures around 100 degrees Fahrenheit year-round. Locals and tourists soak in these pools while snow falls around them, creating one of the most surreal bathing experiences on Earth. Fact 32. The ice sheet contains ancient viruses. Scientists studying ice cores from Greenland have discovered perfectly preserved viruses and bacteria that are tens of thousands of years old. These microorganisms were frozen in the ice before modern humans even existed, and some are unlike anything we've ever seen. As the ice melts due to climate change, there's a theoretical risk that these ancient pathogens could be released back into the environment, though scientists say the actual danger is extremely low. Fact 31. Greenland has waterfalls that freeze mid-fall. During the extreme cold of winter, some of Greenland's waterfalls freeze, while the water is still in motion, creating massive columns of ice that look like frozen rivers suspended in the air. These ice pillars can be hundreds of feet tall and are popular with extreme ice climbers who scale them using picks and crampons. But they're also incredibly dangerous, as the ice can collapse without warning. Fact 30. The midnight sun lasts for months. Just as there's a polar night, there's also a polar day. From late May to late July in northern Greenland, the sun never sets. It circles the horizon 24 hours a day, creating perpetual daylight. This phenomenon wreaks havoc on human sleep patterns and makes it nearly impossible to tell what time of day it is without checking a clock. But it also allows for endless hiking, fishing, and exploration under the strange, flat light of a sun that refuses to sleep. Fact 29. Greenland has the highest suicide rate in the world. This is one of the darker facts, but it's important. Greenland has one of the highest suicide rates of any country on Earth, particularly among young men. The isolation, extreme weather, limited economic opportunities, alcoholism, and the psychological toll of long, dark winters all contribute to a mental health crisis that has devastated communities. It's a stark reminder that life in extreme environments comes with invisible costs. Fact 28. There are Viking ruins over 1,000 years old. Scattered along Greenland's southern coast are the remains of Norse settlements established by Viking explorers in the 10th century. These stone ruins include churches, farms, and even a small monastery. The Vikings lived in Greenland for nearly 500 years before mysteriously abandoning the island around 1450. The exact reason for their disappearance is still debated, but climate change, resource depletion, and conflicts with the Inuit are all likely factors. Fact 27. The Inuit survived here for over 4,000 years. Long before the Vikings arrived, the indigenous Inuit people thrived in Greenland's harsh environment. They developed sophisticated hunting techniques, clothing, and tools perfectly adapted to Arctic survival. They hunted seals, whales, and polar bears using kayaks and harpoons. Their knowledge of ice, weather, and animal behavior allowed them to flourish in a land that defeated every European attempt at colonization. Their descendants still live there today, preserving traditions that stretch back millennia. Fact 26. Greenland has its own language that almost no one else speaks. Greenlandic, or Kala-Alisut, is the official language of Greenland. It's a polysynthetic language, meaning entire sentences can be expressed in a single, incredibly long word. For example, the word for airplane is literally that which flies through the air. Only about 50,000 people speak Greenlandic, making it one of the smallest national languages in the world. It's so unique that linguists travel to Greenland just to study its structure. Fact 25. The ice sheet is melting faster than scientists predicted. Climate change is accelerating the melting of the Greenland ice sheet at a rate that has shocked researchers. In the summer of 2019, Greenland lost 532 billion tons of ice, enough to raise global sea levels by 2.2 millimeters in a single year. Some scientists now believe that even if we stopped all carbon emissions today, parts of the ice sheet are already committed to melting due to feedback loops that have been triggered. Fact 24. There are rivers on top of the ice. During summer, meltwater on the surface of the Greenland ice sheet forms massive rivers that flow across the ice like veins on a frozen giant. Some of these rivers are miles long and deep enough to kayak in. Eventually, the water finds cracks called moulins and plunges hundreds of feet down into the ice, creating vertical waterfalls inside the glacier. Where this water goes and how it affects the ice sheet's stability is still being studied. Fact 23. Greenland has fossils from tropical forests. This sounds absurd, but it's true. Scientists have found fossils of palm trees, crocodiles, and tropical plants in Greenland's rocks. Millions of years ago, before the ice sheet existed, Greenland was located much closer to the equator and had a warm, humid climate with lush forests. Plate tectonics slowly dragged the island northward to its current frozen position, but the fossils remain as proof of its tropical past. Fact 22. There is a nuclear base buried under the ice. Camp Century was a top-secret U.S. military base built inside the Greenland ice sheet during the Cold War. It was powered by a portable nuclear reactor. Abandoned in 1967, the base has since been crushed and buried by moving ice. It remains entombed deep below the surface, along with radioactive waste that scientists are now monitoring closely. Fact 21. Greenland's fjords are among the deepest in the world. The fjords carved by Greenland's glaciers are geological masterpieces. Some reach depths of over 5,000 feet, deeper than the Grand Canyon is tall. These underwater valleys were gouged out by glaciers during the ice ages and are now filled with seawater. Whales, seals, and fish thrive in these deep, cold channels, and the towering cliffs on either side create some of the most dramatic coastal scenery on the planet. Fact 20. There's a giant crater hidden under the ice. In 2018, scientists discovered a massive impact crater buried beneath the Hiawatha Glacier in northwest Greenland. The crater is 19 miles wide and was likely formed by a mile-wide asteroid that slammed into the ice sheet less than 3 million years ago. The impact would have been catastrophic, potentially triggering climate changes felt around the world. It's one of the largest impact craters ever found, and it was hiding in plain sight under a mile of ice. Fact 19. Greenland has more sled dogs than cars. In many parts of Greenland, especially the remote northern and eastern regions, dog sleds are still the primary mode of winter transportation. There are strict laws protecting the traditional use of sled dogs, and in some areas, snowmobiles are banned to preserve the culture. These dogs are incredibly tough, capable of pulling heavy loads across sea ice in temperatures that would kill most other animals. They're not pets, they're working animals bred for endurance and survival. Fact 18. The sea ice can be walked on like solid ground. During winter, the ocean around Greenland freezes solid, creating a thick layer of sea ice that can support the weight of people, sleds, and even vehicles. Hunters travel for miles across this frozen ocean to reach fishing and hunting grounds. But this ice is also treacherous. Pressure ridges, leads of open water, and thin spots can appear suddenly, and falling through the ice in Arctic water means almost certain death within minutes. Fact 17. Greenland has a desert. Yes, a real desert. The Kangerlussuaq region in western Greenland receives so little precipitation that it's technically classified as a polar desert. It gets less than 6 inches of precipitation per year, comparable to the Sahara. The landscape here is barren, rocky, and windswept, with almost no vegetation. It's a frozen wasteland that looks more like Mars than Earth. Fact 16. There are fish that produce natural antifreeze. The Arctic waters around Greenland are home to fish like the Arctic cod that have evolved to survive in water that's below the normal freezing point of their blood. These fish produce special proteins that act like biological antifreeze, preventing ice crystals from forming inside their cells. It's one of the most remarkable adaptations in the animal kingdom, allowing life to exist in conditions that should be lethal. Fact 15. Greenland is gaining independence slowly. Greenland has been a territory of Denmark since 1721, but in recent decades, it has gained increasing autonomy. In 2009, Greenland assumed control over most of its domestic affairs, and there's a growing independence movement pushing for full sovereignty. The main obstacle is economic. Greenland relies heavily on subsidies from Denmark, and achieving financial independence would require developing industries like mining, oil, and tourism on a scale never seen before in the Arctic. Fact 14. The ice sheet is so reflective it affects global climate. The white surface of the Greenland ice sheet reflects about 80% of the sunlight that hits it, sending that solar energy back into space. This is called the albedo effect, and it plays a critical role in regulating the Earth's temperature. But as the ice melts and exposes darker rock and ocean water beneath, less sunlight is reflected and more heat is absorbed, creating a feedback loop that accelerates warming. The fate of Greenland's ice is directly tied to the fate of the global climate. Fact 13. There are massive canyons hidden under the ice. Using radar to peer beneath the ice sheet, scientists have discovered enormous canyons carved into the bedrock. One of these canyons is over 460 miles long, longer than the Grand Canyon, and up to 2,600 feet deep. These canyons were carved by rivers millions of years ago, before the ice sheet formed. Now they're buried under miles of ice, but they still channel meltwater from the interior of the ice sheet toward the ocean. Fact 12. Greenland has a mosquito season from hell. Contrary to the belief that the cold kills all bugs, Greenland has a fierce mosquito season. In June and July, as the ice melts and forms stagnant pools, billions of Arctic mosquitoes emerge. They are known for being larger and more aggressive than their southern cousins, swarming in clouds so thick they can look like smoke. Locals and visitors alike rely on heavy-duty head nets and repellent to survive the summer onslaught. Fact 11. The ice makes sounds that can be heard for miles. The Greenland ice sheet is constantly creaking, groaning, and cracking as it moves and melts. These sounds can be incredibly loud, sometimes resembling thunder or gunshots. They travel for miles across the ice, creating an eerie soundtrack to the Arctic wilderness. Scientists use these sounds to study the internal dynamics of the ice, listening for patterns that reveal how the ice is flowing and fracturing. Before we get to the top 10 facts that will blow your mind, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the like button so you don't miss out on more incredible geography facts that sound fake but aren't. Fact 10. There's a U.S. military base that never closes. Thule Air Base in northwest Greenland is the United States' northernmost military installation and one of the most strategic locations in the Arctic. It was built during the Cold War to detect Soviet missiles and remains operational today. The base operates 24/7 in some of the harshest conditions on Earth, with winter temperatures dropping below minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit. It's home to early warning radar systems that scan the skies for incoming threats, making it a critical piece of North American defense infrastructure. Fact 9. Musk oxen still roam like they did in the Ice Age. Greenland is one of the few places on Earth where you can see musk oxen, massive shaggy beasts that look like they stepped out of the Pleistocene era. These animals have lived in the Arctic for over 600,000 years and are perfectly adapted to extreme cold. Their thick woolly coats, called kiviut, are warmer than sheep's wool and worth more than cashmere. Watching a herd of musk oxen against the backdrop of glaciers and mountains is like witnessing a scene from 10,000 years ago. Fact 8. The entire island could be ice-free in the future. If current warming trends continue, scientists predict that the Greenland ice sheet could reach a tipping point where its complete disappearance becomes inevitable. Some models suggest this could happen within the next few centuries. If the ice sheet melts entirely, it wouldn't just raise sea levels by 24 feet, it would fundamentally alter ocean currents, weather patterns, and ecosystems around the world. The melting of Greenland could trigger a cascade of climate changes that would reshape the entire planet. Fact 7. There are indigenous people who hunt whales with hand-thrown harpoons. The Inuit people of Greenland still practice traditional whale hunting using techniques passed down for thousands of years. Hunters in small boats approach massive whales and throw harpoons by hand, a dangerous and incredibly skillful practice. This isn't sport hunting, it's subsistence. Whale meat is a critical part of the traditional diet in many communities, providing essential protein and fat needed to survive in the Arctic. The practice is controversial, but it's also deeply tied to cultural identity and survival. Fact 6. Greenland has some of the oldest rocks on Earth. In the Isua region of western Greenland, geologists have found rocks that are 3.8 billion years old, among the oldest ever discovered on the planet. These rocks formed when the Earth was still young, less than a billion years after the planet itself was born. Studying them gives scientists a window into what the early Earth looked like and how the processes that led to life may have begun. Standing on these rocks is standing on the ancient foundation of the world. Fact 5. You cannot own land in Greenland. In Greenland, individuals cannot own land. You can own the house you live in, but the land itself belongs to the community. There is no private property in the traditional sense. If you want to build a house, you just need permission from the municipality to use the spot, but you will never own the dirt beneath your floorboards. Fact 4. Greenland has meteor impact glass scattered across the ice. When the asteroid that created the Hiawatha crater struck Greenland, the impact was so violent that it melted and vaporized rock, scattering tiny glass beads across the landscape. These impact spherules have been found in ice cores and glacial sediment, providing direct evidence of the catastrophic event. Each tiny bead is a frozen moment from one of the most violent events in Greenland's geological history. Fact 3. The ice sheet is so massive it has its own gravity field. The Greenland ice sheet is so heavy that it actually warps the Earth's gravitational field in the region. Satellites measuring gravity from space can detect this anomaly, and scientists use it to track changes in the ice sheet's mass. As the ice melts, the gravitational pull weakens, and this change can be measured with incredible precision. It's a reminder that the ice sheet isn't just a feature of the landscape, it's a force that affects the physics of the planet itself. Fact 2. There's a place where you can touch rock from the Earth's mantle. In certain parts of Greenland, tectonic forces have pushed rock from deep within the Earth's mantle up to the surface. This rock, called peridotite, normally exists miles below the crust, but in Greenland, you can walk up and touch it with your bare hands. It's an incredibly rare geological phenomenon that gives scientists direct access to material from the planet's interior without having to drill. Fact 1. Greenland is not a country, but it could be soon. Despite its massive size and distinct culture, Greenland is technically still part of Denmark. But the push for full independence is growing stronger every year. If Greenland becomes fully independent, it would be the largest country in the world by area with the smallest population. a nation defined by ice, isolation, and resilience. It would also control vast, untapped resources of oil, gas, rare earth minerals, and fresh water, making it one of the most geopolitically important places on the planet in the age of climate change. Now that you've learned these 50 insane facts about Greenland, tell us which one surprised you the most or which one you found hardest to believe. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments, and let's see how many of us picked the same fact. And while you're here, check out the video we're leaving on screen because it's packed with even more incredible geography facts you won't believe. But before you watch it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and give it a like. Otherwise, we might not see each other again.